All right, guys, it's 6 o'clock. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super, super excited to bring you, I would say, my most exciting class so far since the opening of this entire online school that we've given you. This is probably the most exciting moment ever. And before I introduce her to this lovely arena that we've created for you guys, I wanted to, first of all, of course, thank you guys for joining us. It has been my pleasure teaching you all these past several months since the opening, and hearing your feedback has been incredibly rewarding. I absolutely love teaching everything, and if you guys are new, you guys will know now that I don't hold anything back. I'm kind of known for just spitting it all out and not really censoring the tips that I have for you guys, because I'm the type of girl that breaks the rules. Like, to me, makeup is not about rules, 1, 2, 3, this goes like this and this goes like this. To me, you can break every rule as long as it looks good and it works well for the person you're working on, whether it's yourself or your client. Then break the rules. If it looks good, get away with it, do your thing, make them look gorgeous, make people ask them, who did your makeup? I mean, that's what it's about. It's about growing your brand and growing your identity as a makeup artist or as somebody who is a makeup lover. And I know a lot of you out there are not makeup artists. You're here to learn for yourself. And I love that because I also like to teach in very clear vocabulary, very basic words, basic steps. I like to break it down so you guys totally understand from the beginning to the end exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, what brushes I'm using, what products I'm using, why I like something over another thing, why I would say throw away this item of yours, you don't need it, and all that good stuff. So you are in the right place, you are here at the right time, and we're going to get this started. In case you guys experience any type of internet issues while this class is streaming, please be rest assured this class is being recorded in full HD and it will be available for you as soon as we can upload it. So when the class is over, we're going to go ahead and start that upload process. It's going to be a very big file because this is a kind of a long class. So it will take some time to upload it, but by tomorrow at the latest, you will be able to review this class, and we will keep it up for a little while so that you guys can review it over and over again, write your notes, and really understand what this class is all about. So don't worry if you are not able to finish this class right now live. You will be able to watch it later on, okay? And if you guys have any issues, of course, any technical questions, you can absolutely chat in the dialog box. We have a chat box going on. Our admin is on it. You can also email info@dressyourfacelive.com with any very technical questions. If you need someone to look at your account and make sure everything is good, go ahead and email info@dressyourfacelive.com anytime for any information you need regarding this website and any help that you need regarding getting in or keeping your membership, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Okay, enough of the boring stuff. It's time to have some fun. It's time to bring in my lovely celebrity guest. Somebody's here. I think you kind of already know her name, obviously. Christina Milian. Welcome.
Cheers.
Woo!
OMG. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
That was a great intro. It was amazing.
Yeah, I tried not to bore these people too much. Okay.
I'm fixing myself. I have no makeup on right now.
Yeah, no makeup. It's
okay.
Raw. And everyone already said that you look perfect without makeup anyway. So that kind of sucked with our before and after because the before looked just as good.
Aww. Well, you're sweet. We have two looks. You know, there's a day and night, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's all about
not even just nighttime, but it's just, you know, we gotta have fun with girls.
That's the whole point. Makeup is fun. And these people that are like, well, why does anyone try to put on makeup? Why are you trying to change yourself? Honey, it is so not about that. It is about having fun.
Absolutely.
And going out. And she's in the entertainment business. I mean, she's a singer, an actress. She's all over the place. You have to show up for the camera. So everything that we're about to do today is perfect for the camera.
Yes.
It is perfect for photography, for film, HD, everything, and even just going out and turning it up.
I turn up on my day-to-day. So.
Right.
all the time.
Cool. So we are going to do the look that we have been showing you guys over the past week of the promos. And it's going to be that really sexy cat eye that we love, love, love.
Ba-boom.
It was so fun. The first time we did it together, I mean, that just kind of became like the signature of Tam and Christina.
And you're so good at it. That's
Thank
the thing.
you.
Like,
I
you
love
do
it.
like perfect lines.
It's so fun.
I wish I could do it, but I'm gonna have to watch this a bunch of times
You
to
know
get
what?
it right.
Yeah.
That's what we have this
Hey,
for.
did you get your membership?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'm watching myself right now.
I'm kidding. Okay, cool. So we are going to learn a lot of things. You're going to learn a lot of things.
Yes.
And every time I teach it, I feel like I'm learning a lot of things. So we're all just going to get started now. So first things first, I love to do face before I do eyes. And I know a lot of you may not feel comfortable with that, and that's totally cool. You do what you're comfortable with. But the reason why I like to do face before eyes is because I'm a very balanced visual person. I like to see everything balanced, everything concealed, everything Photoshop looking before I go into the detail stuff, which I consider eyes, cheeks, and lips. I consider those things very detailed stuff. And honestly, when you perfect the face that well, doing the eyes flows right in, and you can actually finish your makeover a lot faster when you're doing the face first. When you do the eyes first, most of your hour with your client is spent on perfecting the eyes, and guess what? It's not going to look perfect until the whole face is done. So you're going to be doing it and doing it and doing it.
You're gonna go back to it anyways, right?
You're going to go back, exactly. You're going to go back and do the bottom anyway. And then what happens? You have literally 10 minutes to finish the rest of the face.
Fingerprints on your
and
face.
It's not perfect. So perfect the face. But if you know how to manage your time, that's fine. Do the eyes. Then you can do the face, and then you can fix up the bottom of the eyes if you need to. But this is just how I like to do it. Okay, we're going to get started. First things first, you need to sanitize your hands in front of your clients. Okay.
Yeah, I want to see that. Clean
Bam,
your
bam,
hands.
bam. Sanitize in front of your client. No questions asked.
No dirty hands.
Be clean, be clean.
Yes.
Okay. So after sanitizing, and the reason why I like to obviously sanitize in front of my clients is because I love to use my hands. I love to use my fingers. I love to touch the skin. I like to feel that the product is being dispersed very nicely, that her skin is drinking it all up and feeling super, super silky. And the only way I can really ensure that is by touching it. So for me, applying not the foundation I do with a brush, only because I got my nails. I can't have it all brown. Mm-hmm. But I like to do the primer with the fingers. So we are going to use, are you feeling dry these days, or are you feeling pretty normal?
I feel maybe a little bit. No, I feel pretty normal.
Pretty normal?
Yeah, I think my skin's good right now.
Okay.
But
Alright.
I like skin moisturizer.
I love, and I talked about this in my last class too, so now that you guys are members, you will have access to my last class. It's still up for like another 10 days at least. And the Hourglass number 28 primer is something I love for when my girls are feeling a little on the dry side. If they're not really that dry and they're more combination or oily or whatever, I just stick to the original MAC one. So those are the two that I kind of go back and forth with. I'm going to start with the MAC, and if there's any areas that I feel on her skin that are a little bit on the dry side, I'll add a little bit of the serum over it.
Right.
So we are just going to warm this product up a little bit on the back of our hand, and I'm just going to go ahead and start massaging it onto her skin. And I'm feeling that it is spreading all over. And your face does not feel super dry, so I think we're just going to stick with this one this time instead of the number 28.
Okay.
But yeah, I love it. Okay, so the thing about this primer is that there is no SPF in it. There is no shimmer in it. There's none of that strobe stuff. So this is the original, like, basic prep and prime, and that's why I like it. You'll notice if this is your first class with me that I love to use a lot of powder steps. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I love MAC Studio Fix powder because it's like it is a foundation powder in one. Mm-hmm. So it's just adding coverage over coverage. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes everyone look so photoshopped. So with that said, using all those layers of foundation and powder and all that, cream contour under it, you're not going to be able to see the benefits of the primer. So why bother getting a primer that has shimmer in it or whatever? Even color corrector primers don't really matter in this case if you're using full coverage stuff like I do. So now we're going to go right into foundation.
That all made sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. With the foundation, I'm going to do the MAC Studio Fix foundation. I'm going to mix NC42 and NC44 because she is right in between. So I'm going to go half and half with this, and I'll tell you what brushes I like. I normally like the Duo Fiber brush from MAC. That long, the white hairs with the black hairs, the Duo Fiber. That one's really cool. I think that it blends and stipples really nicely. But lately I've been addicted to this Morphe brush of mine. I'll let you guys know what number it is. I'm still learning the numbers of the Morphe brushes by heart. So that would be the Morphe M427 brush. It looks like this. So what you do is you just stipple it on and then blend it. Now, another thing I like to do in front of my clients is I like to clean my brushes in front of my clients. And the only brush cleaner that allows me to do that without having to wait for it to dry is my Cinema Secrets brush cleaner, which it evaporates pretty much immediately. So as soon as you're done wiping the brush off, it is ready to use. So it's a major time saver, and that way, when I'm on the go, back-to-back clients, I don't have to worry about, oh my god, I don't have time to clean my brushes in between. I'm going to clean them as I use them right in front of my client. So I have these two colors. I have this brush that took me like 10 seconds to clean. And now I'm mixing the colors with the back of the brush. I'm not wasting time with the metal palette. I'm a realist. I put things on the back of my hand. I've already cleansed my hand. We're good. So I'm just going to mix it like this and then wipe off the residue from the back of the brush, and I'm ready to go. No searching for my metal palette or a spatula. Okay, no one has time for that. So I'm just going to dip in, grab a little bit of product, and we're going to go right in and stamp it onto her skin. And the reason why I like to stamp it is because I feel like it's actually providing a full coverage effect without me rubbing anything and wiping off anything. So one thing that my students all know from me from my one-on-one classes and of course my online classes is that I don't like to blend and buff. I'm not a buffer, I'm a packer. So for me, stamping gives you that full effect, and you're not making the skin red by buffing the crap out of it. And you get that nice smooth finish because you're actually pushing the product into the skin's texture, the natural texture of the skin. So you end up kind of almost filling it in. So our pores right here, it's like filling it in instead of wiping things off. So do the stamping motion. Make sure everything is looking nice and smooth and clean and full coverage, of course. My favorite words, full coverage.
Yes.
And I'm just stamping away until it looks like it's starting to really melt into her skin tone.
It's amazing how your skin tone, how like once you put it on, it changes according to the person.
It totally does. It absolutely does. It starts to almost mimic your skin tone a little bit. Okay.
That's if you have the right colors, though.
True.
Doesn't always work out.
And here's the other thing. A lot of you ask, like, okay, how do you know how to match the person, and what if it's not exact? Well, my thing is, don't psych yourself out too much about matching the person exactly, because you're still having to do all the powder steps, which are full coverage. Those have to match really well, because that is the top steps. But underneath that, you still have all this contouring to do and highlighting to do. So those are adding different dimensions to the skin anyway. And no one is one color all over. Just as long as the base somewhat matches, which is what we're doing here, you're ready to go. And all I'm doing here is adding whatever's left from my hand. I was adding it to her neck just for the photography purpose, because with the camera flash and even without the flash, a photograph will pick up the change in your skin tone. So even if this foundation looks absolutely perfect with her skin tone, if you don't put a little bit on the neck, it's going to show a discrepancy in color on film and on camera. So you want to make sure a little bit goes here. You don't have to do like a full coverage packing on the neck, but a little something just so it doesn't look raw. And if her hair was up, I would have added a little bit to her ears as well for photography purposes. My brides who have an updo, if there's a big difference between the skin and the ear, sometimes the ear is a little bit red or whatever, I'll just go ahead and buff a little bit onto the ear. I do not pack it on the ear. That's the only time I'm really buffing. But other than that, this is it. Foundation on, ready for concealer. And then we're going to do contour and highlight, and that's going to be probably your favorite part. Aside from, of course, the eyeliner, which is another favorite part.
Yeah, I always steal people's pictures of like how to contour.
I saw your post with like all the different faces. I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because I kind of
is.
usually go for like the basic, what I think works for my face, which kind of sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. But I looked at that chart and I was like, okay, this is cool. This gives me, another perspective on it.
It totally does.
So I can be direct and like do it exactly how I want.
And when you see those charts, it's based on face shape, and not everyone is one face shape. You could be a hybrid between two face shapes. So basically the whole part of like highlight and contour is to try to balance the face to look as oval as possible. That's like the ideal face shape, to look oval. So when someone's face is round, you want to add a little more of that angular contour to make it look a little bit elongated. When someone's face is already very long, you want to add more horizontal lines to stretch it out a little bit so that it can balance out the length. So all those little tricks of highlight and contour is what helps with the whole balance of the face. I don't know if you guys saw my post earlier today, but I had a gorgeous client, but her only concern was the crooked nose. So what we did was we draw two straight lines down her nose, and it creates the linear look, which creates a little bit more balance to the face. But I mean, it almost just looks like Photoshop. But that's the whole trick of highlighting contour, is just playing with the lights and darks and creating a balance. Okay, now I'm going to tell you which brush I love to use for concealer. And the brush is also, you can find it at Morphe or MAC. This particular one is MAC, and it's number 287. I'm just going to give it a quick spray. Number 287 brush I absolutely love for concealer because it has the dual fibers as well. So you can pack it and blend at the same time. So the concealer I'm going to use on her is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. I love it because although most concealers, anyway, they do crease if you don't set it, this one creases a little bit less than other concealers that I've tried. So I've put a little bit on the back of my hand. The color that I'm using on her is NC42. And I'm just picking up a little bit on one side of the brush, and you're just going to look up, and we're just going to pack it on.
I love that stuff too. That's what I use.
I love it. I'm also going to show you guys how to use orange concealer. So I'm just going to put this on first, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about orange concealer because I know that's another big concern for you guys that are experiencing dark circles or clients with dark circles. Orange concealer helps so much with concealing the darkness without looking gray. And that's another reason why I like this particular color, is because it does have a little bit of that apricot undertone in it. And so it helps with color correction as well as concealing within the same step. But I do want to just touch a little bit of orange on her so you guys know how I usually use it. Technically, you would be using the orange first and then putting your concealer over it, but I do like to test the strength of the concealer first so that if I can avoid using the orange, I will. Only because it's another step. But if I still need to use orange, I can absolutely use it over this. So now that this is on, I'm going to show you how I use the orange one. With the orange, I have a palette from MAC, which is called the Correct and Conceal palette. It looks like this. I've shared it many times with you guys. And the color that I have here is medium deep. So I'm going to go right into the orange one here and very lightly touch up over the Pro Longwear. Another reason why I usually like to do the Pro Longwear first is because it is considered a long-lasting concealer, and I'd rather have that as the base so that it doesn't slip around and move around. Because if you use something too oily or too slippery first, it can tend to move the other layers. So just to be on the safe side, I kind of use that as an excuse to use the concealer first.
Any excuse to use all our makeup.
And like, it makes sense. If you really break it down, it makes sense. So this is just very lightly touching some of that orange in there. And as you guys can see, it basically cancels out any gray undertones and just brightens up the under eyes so beautifully. And it looks so fresh. I love it. So now that everything is corrected and concealed, we have a good base on, now we can just go nuts with the highlight and contour. I know.
Somebody say contour.
I can't.
That excites me.
That's the world right now. I swear, this generation is the makeup generation.
Oh, it definitely is.
It is. Okay, so guys, just like any other makeup artist, I try new things often. And I always kind of switch things in my kit and just to keep up with what's going on out there. And for a long time, I was using Cinema Secrets individual little pot foundations that you could use as concealers as well. And then they came out with these really easy to travel with palettes. And these can be used as concealer or foundation. It is totally full coverage. I actually used to keep it in my kit, the Graftobian one, which is basically very, very similar. And I used to keep it in my kit for brides who wanted to cover tattoos.
Yeah.
So it covered it really well, of course, full coverage, whatever. But I recently went to the makeup show. It was IMAX a couple months ago. And I went to the booth for Cinema Secrets to get my brush cleaner. And I saw that they had all their palettes in stock, so I picked up one of each. And so we will be contouring and highlighting with these palettes. But normally, what you guys have seen in the past, and even in my pictures, I still carry my LA Girl Cosmetics Pro Conceals. They're so easy to use. I draw with it, and I will still be using this for the nose. But everywhere else, I'm going to be using the palette, okay? No specific reason, I just want to show you the different things that you can use. So, we're going to do highlight first and then the contour. So here, this one's good for contour. Let's see. I have a ton. I have like 5 or 6 of these now.
I would buy them all too.
Seriously, I was like, oh, can I just get one of each? Because I just...
You just never know when you're going to need one thing.
You never know. So I'm going to use the same concealer brush that we used just for this last step. It's MAC 287 in case you missed it. And this particular foundation palette is kit number 3 from Cinema Secrets. Kit number 3. It's very warm. That's why we're using it. And we're going to use this middle color here for her highlights. And I guess it is number 303-66A.
There you go.
And we are now going to just make a little triangle here by tapping it in. Can you guys see that? Why don't we zoom a little bit just so we can kind of get a clearer picture of this shape here. Okay. Okay there. So we're going to make this little triangle here, and we're going to make another little triangle here. Basically what I'm doing is I'm connecting the under eye area from the top of the cheekbone all the way down towards the corner of the mouth, and that kind of makes those features pop out a little bit more. And then I'm going to draw a nice thin line down the center of the nose. And I'm going to fan it out above in the forehead region, basically right between the eyebrows, and then stopping right at the arch of her brow. That's kind of how far I know to go. My little cheating method. So arch, that radius, down the nose, and we're going to create a little Cupid's bow highlight there, and then a little bit on the chin area. I also like to, on Christina, she's very petite, so I like to add a little bit of highlight here and here as well. And what that's going to do is it's going to really pop her cheekbone contour. So we're just going to highlight a little bit here and here. And that's all the areas that we're highlighting. So if you want to take a screenshot of this so you have it, this is your moment, screenshot. Okay. Now that we're done with the screenshotting, we're going to go in with our darker palette. This is what I'm going to use for a little bit of that contour before I do her nose contour. And this is Foundation Palette Kit number 9 from Cinema Secrets. And as far as the color that we'll use, we're going to go right into this one here. Again, I'm very visual. I don't really have like a plan in the beginning of what colors I'm about to use on her. I just look at it and I'm like, okay, I think this one will look nice in comparison to the other shades. So technically, if you really want to like put rules on it, I would say whatever her foundation color is, go a few shades darker for her contour and a couple shades lighter for her highlight. Keep it within the same family though. So we are now going to create this lovely contour line. And the angle that I'm doing it is from the top of her ear going towards the corner of her mouth. And I'm not connecting it to the mouth. I'm stopping about maybe 1 finger width before. That way when she's smiling really big, then you could really see that connection kind of curving. But if you connected it all the way to the mouth, it almost looks a little bit avatar-ish, a little too, and that's kind of not that cute.
No.
So we are going to start up here and go towards the corner of the mouth, but it is disappearing before we even hit it. Bam, bam. There we go. Lovely, lovely. We're going to also fill in her temple zones with this lovely dark color. That kind of creates that 3D effect for the forehead. And we're also going to add a little bit of this shadowy shade to her hairline, which will create roundness over here as well. Another thing is, if you're working on a client or yourself who has a very small forehead, you do not want to contour the forehead. It's going to make the forehead look even smaller. So keep it more for the highlight on people with small foreheads. People with average to larger foreheads, I always contour the hairline and the sides of the forehead. Next, we are going to do a little bit across the jawline. I'm not a fan of doing too much here, but just enough to look like a little bit of a shadow. And then lastly, we're going to whip out my LA Girl one because I just love how precise that goes on. So I'm going to whip out the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Beautiful Bronze. That's the color we're going to use for her T-zone. I love it. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to squeeze a little bit on the back of my hand just so that I'm not like squeezing a blob right directly onto her T-zone. So I'm taking some out on the back of my hand and I'm picking it up, and you can clean this in between clients as well with the same exact brush cleaner. And I'm gonna go from her eyebrow area and curve it right into where we started her highlights. And I'm hugging right up against that highlight and going straight down. I am not widening as I'm going down, I'm just going straight down. We're gonna do the same on the other side. Just follow that highlight straight down so you're creating parallel lines. Now you want to connect the bottom and you want to just create a little slash right on the tip. It kind of refines the tip. It prevents the nose from looking like it's going on for miles and miles. It gives you that visual break and it gives you a nice refined tip. So that's optional. I mean, you could do it, you don't have to do it, but I would do it for sure on someone with a very long nose just to break it up. And then I love, love, love to fill in the center of the Cupid's bow. And lastly, I absolutely love to fill in the dip right under the bottom lip, right in the center. It creates this really pouty look. So that's kind of it. That's all I do when it comes to celebrity contour and highlights. Again, take your screenshots. This is a moment. 1, 2, 3. Yes. There you go. And if you missed it, well, watch the replay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Redo it. Okay, so now that the highlight and contour is on, we can now blend. Now, with the blending, again, I do not like buffing. I don't like heavy blending, wiping. I'm not into wiping at all. I'm into really just pushing in product and letting it melt into the previous layer. So our previous layer was the foundation layer. So this will easily melt right in as long as you're not wiping it off. So the brush that I'm using now is number 130 from MAC, and I'm just pushing it in. Push, 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 push. So I'm going in with her forehead contour right now, and I'm making sure that it doesn't dry too fast. That's with this particular product, I didn't want it to dry too fast because I don't want like a dark ring around the forehead. I want it to be able to blend into the hairline really nicely. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of blending it into the hairline and letting that finish. Now that that's done, I want to also do the same thing to her jawline because I, again, don't want a strong brown line out of nowhere when she's taking her side pictures. So none of that happening here. That's the only time I'm really buffing, actually. If you can see, I'm kind of wiping it off. Okay, now I'm going to wipe my brush a little bit and I'm going to focus on the highlighted areas just to get those to melt in. So I'm just pushing those in, making sure that you can't really see the edges of it. You can't really tell where it starts and finishes. It just kind of flows into the contour. Here too, we're just going to push it in, make it look really smooth. Make it blend and melt right into the foundation. And when you spread it, it does kind of go over her concealer, so it does look like one, not like we put 3 different things on.
brush is so soft. It makes me
Yeah.
want to take a little nap.
When I do my makeup, I literally beat my face. So I never get to feel the softness of brushes. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
totally so rough. Okay. And a little bit here, just wherever you did that. But nose we're gonna wait on. I want it to dry a little bit. I want it to be a little strong, and then I'm gonna blend it with a smaller brush because I'm not trying to get it to like just go blah all over the place. So now I'm gonna wipe again because I don't want to contaminate between light and dark. I'm gonna focus on this dark area here. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna push this product right in and create this nice groove here. And I'm gonna make sure that I'm not spreading it too much here because I do want it to go into a little bit of a point. I don't want it to be so thick during her smiling moments. So I'm just, as you notice, I use my finger a little bit to do some refining when your brush cannot get that refined. So pushing that in, now we have a nice little shape going on there and it doesn't look like a crazy brown line. We're gonna do the same here. Push it in, let it melt into the skin, and if anything is drying too fast, I will allow you guys to do a little buffing, but just be very careful. Honestly, guys, when you're buffing products, be very, very controlled and don't overly blend because all your hard work is gonna go away if you do that.
What if you use like one of those sponges? You just like tap, 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 or you just okay.
The Beauty Blender, that egg thingy, I think you guys know, those of you who are like my longtime subscribers know that I don't use it only because it's like a hassle for me because you have to wet it technically and then you're just bouncing, and then when you clean it, it still looks dirty. So I'm not a huge fan, but it does work really well. So if you are a big fan of beauty blenders or any of those sponge thingies, you can absolutely blend with that. It just will take a little bit longer because you have to, you know, do the wetting thing and then the wringing it out thing and then the bouncing thing and then the cleaning thing, but you're fine.
That sounds like it really doesn't work for you.
I'm just, you know,
It's not your thing.
I'm into time efficiency and I'm so old school when it comes to like brushes and actual tools and using my hands and stuff. That's all I like. Alrighty, now we're ready to blend her T-zone. I'm going back with my concealer brush. I'm just giving it a little wipe down. And very carefully, I am going to first tap, tap, tap on her highlight zones just to make sure they're kind of melting into her foundation and not just sitting on top of her skin. So we're doing the tap tapping. We're also going to make sure, remember how we highlighted the Cupid's bow? We're going to make sure that's nicely blended. And now I'm wiping off again because I'm not trying to contaminate light and dark. And we're going to start scooping the dark here. So what I'm doing here is I'm literally just scooping it down to blend it without wiping it off. So as you're scooping down, you are removing product, but you're not spreading it all over the place and creating a big brown mess. It's still looking refined, it's still looking very precise, and I'm just kind of pushing it in so that it doesn't look like a line out of nowhere, but it's still a line because we still want to get that like sharpness. I'm overly obsessed with nose contour, so I have to kind of like stop myself from overdoing it. So I don't know like what your guys' obsession is, but mine is nose for sure. And as you can tell, I overly contour noses because I'm obsessed with like that fake nose look. So that's just something. And one time I like overly did my nose on a post, and a lot of people actually commented. Like, a lot of people. This was a couple years ago. A lot of people commented that I was overdoing my nose. So then I was like, okay, it's constructive criticism. That's cool, and I'm just gonna have to tone it down a little bit. So now I'm just toning it down, but I still like it sharp, just not like, you know.
Pin thin.
Yeah.
Right?
I straight up went, like in that, it's still
you went
up.
there, you were
it's
like,
down there.
I bet you were proud of yourself too. You were like,
dark.
yes.
It was so dark and my highlight was so light and I loved it. But the world did not love it.
It's so funny.
Don't forget the under the lip area. My students always forget the under the lip area because the lips are already a little pouty, so you don't really see it. Never forget that because when they smile, all of a sudden it's going to look like they ate chocolate ice cream.
Ooh.
Yeah. So never forget to blend that. Okay, now we are good. So this is the blended contour and highlight look. Everything is seeped into her skin very well. But again, this is just the base steps, the cream steps. Now when you guys see what I do with the powder, you're going to flip out. You're so going to flip out because that is what ends up looking like real life Photoshop. Yes.
Real life.
Real life Photoshop.
A real life filter everywhere you go.
Seriously though. Seriously. No need for Facetune or any of that.
Looking better, right?
We're going to first start off with setting her highlighted zones. So we're going to use MAC number 227 brush to set the highlighted zones, and then we're going to set the contour zones, and then we're going to set the in-between zones. So you need to whip out 3 powders, a lighter one, your actual skin tone one, and a slightly darker one to keep the definition of each section alive, so you're not just throwing one color all over and then ruining all your hard work underneath, and then you're going to have to go back with bronzer and all that stuff. Just stick with 3 different color powders. So I start off with the NC42 powder, and that's going to go on her highlight zones. I do like to bronze her up a little bit, so that's why we're going very warm.
Yes, I like bronze.
We like bronze.
I like color.
Yeah. So I'm just setting away these highlight zones. So what you want to make sure is that when you see a little bit of this crease, you want to make sure that before you set that area that it's smoothed out. So I use my finger to smooth it out a little bit, and I set it very heavily. So what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing a lot and I'm setting it very heavily on those areas. So it looks like it's Barbie skin, like plastic. And this also keeps the makeup on all day, so she can like go to her events, come home at 4 in the morning and look just as good when she's wiping off all the makeup as if I had just done it. And everything's looking nice and clean. So again, this is the step that ends up looking like real life Photoshop, because what powder does is it blurs your skin. It mattifies everything, so you can literally fake whatever like feature you want to fake. When things are wet looking, then you see the natural shine and the natural curvatures of the skin, and so you can't really fake a lot of stuff. So we're blurring and we're faking. And we're going to blur all of this highlight here. Maybe not as heavy. We don't have to go so heavy. And obviously, like, Christina has already very even skin tone. It's not like we're really correcting a lot of stuff. So you don't have to go super, super heavy with your clients that already have a really good skin tone. But if you're trying to get that Photoshop look, then you kind of have to use full coverage stuff regardless. So I'm sure a lot of you out there are like, why so much stuff on Christina? But it's really for the effect. It's not that she needs it. It's really about the effect it gives. So all the highlight areas, just kind of making sure it's all packed in really nicely. As you can see, I'm pushing the product in just like I always do. And we're going to do the same very carefully down the bridge of the nose, packing it on right in here. Okay, so now we can use a darker color to give her that nice sculpted effect on her darker areas. And let's see here. I'm going to use, okay, so we just used NC42 for her lighter areas. Although that is her truer skin tone, I am bronzing her up a little bit for this video, so we did go slightly darker than her natural complexion. So now we're going to go into, I would say either NW43 or NC44. I have both colors and I love them both. I'm going to show you them. Like, I really, again, I base it all on what it looks like. Okay, looking at this, I don't think it's dramatic enough. I want to go a little darker. That was NW43. I want to try something just slightly darker. Okay, NC45. There we go. well, I guess you can't really tell. You can't really tell.
Right there.
NC44, oh, it's 45. And then I also have, gosh, I swear, I have like every color under the sun. And then I also have the contour kit. I have NC55 as well. You know what? Let's go nuts. NC55 is what we're going to do. NC55. I also have the contour kit from Anastasia, so I'll talk about that in a moment. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take this Morphe brush number 438, M438. It's a nice tapered blending brush. It's from their Flawless line that just came out. And we are going to very softly set her contour zones with this. Make sure you're getting all along the hairline. You're keeping that nice definition on the cheekbone. Get the hairline here as well. And everything ends up looking really defined now again. And whatever's left on the brush, I'm doing a little bit on the jawline. Not too much. Again, I'm not a fan of like a crazy, crazy jawline. And now looking at it, you can go a little darker if you want to. You can go a little brighter in certain zones if you want to. But the reason why I didn't go like darker than this initially is because what happens is when the skin is still wet with the cream stuff, and then you put powder over it, it grabs on really heavy and it can end up looking darker. So if you start off with a really dark color to set your contour, it ends up looking a little muddy sometimes. So to keep yourself safe, stick with colors that are still within your skin tone range, like a few shades up and down. And then you can go in with like a super dark color and really refine. So that's what we're going to do after this step. So once you do the setting of the contour areas, and of course I can pinch my brush, make it really skinny, and do a little bit on the sides of the nose, no problem.
We should ask people, we should ask them to ask us questions on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. So, you guys, if you guys haven't seen my post, my latest post, this was the behind the scenes of me and Christina while we were setting up for you guys. If you guys have questions, please ask them on my Instagram post, on Christina's Instagram post, her latest post. We will be, after class, we will be looking through those questions and answering the most popular ones so we can make sure you guys totally understand everything that we're teaching today, okay? So ask your questions there, and we will revisit those questions. I'm going to try to answer as I go along as well right now, thinking of what have my students asked me in the past and answering those too. So hopefully I can answer them before you even ask them. But whatever I didn't answer, I will answer after class.
Excuse me.
Thank you for reminding me. So we're just going to make sure this is all shaped up. So now that we've done all the contour areas, we're going to go in with a medium color, something in between the other two shades we did, to set all the in-between zones and any zones that we haven't set yet. So I would now say that the NC45 would be a good medium. And we're going to go in with this awesome number 109 brush. It's like a little ball brush. It's the perfect size.
Cute.
And we're going to go in and softly set the areas that haven't been set yet. So one section that hasn't been set is this section in between this contour and this contour right here. So that medium color is going to set that just to give it a little something. And now we're going to set in between the highlight and contour. So right here we have contour, right here we have highlight. So in between the rainbow, we are going to add a layer of this medium tone. So now it can, I know on camera you may not be able to see every little detail, but in person it looks so seamless from the light to the dark. You can't tell when it starts to transition because we have this middle color here, which is our transition shade. We're also going to do that right over here as a transition shade between her highlight and contour on the cheek area. And lastly, we're going to use it on the sides of her nose to transition the sides as well. And now, any area that looks too light or too dark, you can use this medium color to kind of balance it. So I love this step because it truly just brings everything together, and now we can just go nuts with the Anastasia contour kit.
All right.
So now that her face is fully set, we can really do a lot of things and not have it grab onto wet skin because every single square centimeter of her face has been set already. So now nothing's going to grab on too much. Everything's going to glide on very easily because it's dry now. So, dun, 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 dun.
Ooh,
I have
what's this?
my Anastasia contour book. This was something that I posted when they first gave it to us, and it wasn't for sale, and everyone was like, are you kidding me?
Oh
like,
my
why would
gosh.
you give
You're
them
teasing everybody,
something
Lily.
that's not for sale? Well, it's for sale now. You guys can totally get it. It's on her website, AnastasiaBeverlyHills.com, and it literally has every color of contour and highlight in here. So I'm going to go in with, I think it's time that I really pump up her highlight. So for her highlight pump up, I'm going to do Peaches and Cream. I love how warm it is. It's like an orangey tone, and it's really going to brighten up her highlight without looking gray. And then sometimes I even add a little bit of banana or golden peach to brighten it up if I really need to. So the brush that I'm going to use for that is the 189 brush. It's like a paddle brush. Oh my God, you're going to love it. It's so soft.
That one.
It is so soft. And I'm going to go into Peaches and Cream. Actually, I'm going to mix a little golden peach in there too. Give it a little whack. And we are now going to really brighten this under eye highlight without going gray, because that orange tone is what corrects any gray tones. So it starts to look really airbrushed. Really, really airbrushed. Again, I'm mixing Peaches and Cream and golden peach and just giving it a nice tapping right under the eye area. Right in here. So her center core area of her highlighted skin is what's receiving this treatment right now. Another thing is I love to really pump up the volume on the nose, like I said already. So golden peach it is. And we're just gonna give it a little bit more of that edge here. Just like that. And that kind of brightens up the nose. And then whatever's left on the brush, you can use it to brighten up the center of the brows, just so that it all kind of just flows. So now we've brightened up the center core. Everything's looking, God, that looks really good on screen right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, cool. So now we're gonna pump up the volume on I'm gonna say we're gonna turn up
Yeah.
the volume on her contour. So
now we're talking.
So I'm going back to that contoured, this tapered brush right here, and I'm going to go into a color called Earth. Earth is this top right one right here. It's very warm. And that, my friends, is what we're going to use to really just kind of chisel out her contour areas. So I'm just chiseling out the bottom edge of her contour because I've already done this blending thing. So now we can get away with just doing a little bit right down here, and it already looks blended because we did all those steps previously. So every step still matters, even though we're adding all these things over it. Every step below it still matters because it really helps to give that whole like cohesive look at the end. So I'm just kind of chiseling that bottom edge here. And then if you feel like when you're doing it, it still doesn't look blended, another very easy thing to do is to roll your brush up afterward, and then whatever pigment is still left on your brush kind of just like smooths up into that highlight area so it looks like it's transitioning okay. So if you're having an issue with that whole transition part, try rolling up the brush after you do your chisel thing, roll it up, and then you can get that like seamless effect that way. I'm also going to use Earth right into the temple zone as well, just to give it a little bit more of that 3D look. I mean, really, I can contour for hours, but unfortunately, you know, we are on a schedule, so I am going to have to end this eventually. And then I'm going to pinch this and make sure I can really get right in there and have everything look very three-dimensional. So now that this is done, it's time for the JLo glow. It's time for the skin to look like skin again and not just like, I don't know, velvet. Velvet. Not a bad thing. Velvet is lovely.
That's not a bad thing at all.
It's a Hill City texture. But if we want that glow, and if your client or yourself loves to have a little bit of that shiny highlight, the one I've been really addicted to, actually what's funny is I never used it on myself before I used it on you. I use a lighter color on myself. It's from Galactic, the face glow. It comes in natural and bronze. So I always use natural on myself, and then one day I put it on her in bronze, and I was like, holy moly, it looks so good. So then I started using it on myself. So I'm using it in bronze.
Good.
Thank you.
I was admiring that.
Hi. So that's what's going on you as well. And I always do put it on you, but this
now
is
I
just, now you know what it is exactly. So Galactic Face Glow in bronze. It has lovely packaging. That's kind of what drew me to this brand in the first place. And then this is what it looks like. It's just a very nice kind of warm highlight. And we're going to go in with the Haku Hodo brush J5521. I'm going to give it a little spritz to clean it off first. And we're going to go in with that and very lightly apply it all over her highlight areas. But we have to be very careful that it does not get on the contour areas too much, because that's going to defeat the whole purpose of a contour. The contour should remain matte so it looks like a hollow, so it looks like a groove. If you add shiny stuff over a contour, it's going to end up looking muddy and it's not going to give you that shape that you're looking for. It's going to kind of mess it up. So be careful with this step. We're going to take a little bit just with the tip of the brush. I'm not saturating the whole brush. And I'm just going to go right in to the top of her cheekbone and get it to really stick well. And then with your fingers, you can always roll it down and smooth out the edges. So now you have this amazing glow, and it's not obnoxious, crazy beam of light. It's like a very pretty bronzy glow.
I've seen that.
Yes. So right up on the top of the cheekbone, get that stripe on, and then with your finger pad, just roll over the edges so you can get the seamless effect. I love it. See, that's why I was like, okay, I gotta try it myself, because
Love that.
Oh my gosh. And then I love to go a little bit above the brows and make sure you smooth that out so that you can't really tell where it starts and ends. And then lastly, I use my fingers to apply it on the bridge of her nose, because I just don't want it spilling everywhere. So I'd rather just be very precise and just kind of roll my fingers down the bridge of her nose and get a little bit of that glow right on the center of her skin. So everything just looks a little bit more like a healthy, dewy, glam look, and it just doesn't look too cakey or anything like that. And then whatever's left on your brush, if you want to, you can add a little bit to the chin, and it kind of completes the whole, you know, the balance. Ah! Hello! Looking good. Okay.
It's perfect. I have an event to go to tonight, so this look will be seen on the red carpet tonight.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
You can't waste glam.
No way. When you wear makeup or you have a really good makeup day, you know you have to go out of the day.
Yes.
You have to do something. Go to lunch.
Just
go
be
out,
me, you know?
yeah.
You just have to be that photograph.
Feeling good. Who wants to wipe off great makeup?
Right? No, you have to be seen. You have to document that moment.
Lots of selfies.
Oh, yes. I have like 80 selfies whenever I have a good makeup day, and I spread it out.
Ooh, should I look at the questions? See if there's any questions?
Yeah.
I have my phone.
Why not? Okay.
I've got my phone.
Why
with me.
not?
Let's see what is going on in the world. We're right on my Instagram. We should go to yours first.
Okay.
Because he said to go to yours, and then we'll see if anybody said anything on mine.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Yours says, it's still uploading.
I have AT&T too, so mine wouldn't go any faster.
It's on its way. It's coming.
In the
Almost
meantime, we'll
there.
do the blush.
Yeah.
Copper tone is what I'm using here. Copper tone. I love the warmth of it. So while that uploads, this is what I'm doing. I'm just adding it right in between the contour and the highlight section of her cheekbones.
I got one.
Good.
What's the best way to highlight and contour when you don't have much time? Ooh, good
Okay.
question.
So when you don't have a whole lot of time, skip the cream contour and highlights and go straight for the powder. So what I normally do, like let's say if you're booked with a wedding and you have a ton of bridesmaids to do back to back and you have maybe 30 minutes a person or 20 minutes a person. Instead of going in with all the, you know, the cream contour and highlight that we did, which does take time and it has to be blended perfectly, so it's going to take like a good 15 minutes or 10 minutes of your time there. Skip that. Go for one color foundation, one color powder over it, and then whip out the Anastasia contour kit with the powder colors and go in and start chiseling with the powders instead. You're going to have to go a little heavier with those powders to really show up, but it will get the job done in like half the time.
There you go. That was a good question.
Yeah, I like that. I love good questions.
I'm always in a hurry.
See? Yeah, I don't deal with cream contour and highlight on myself on a daily. I just use powder, and then I have a bronzer that I just go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then with the eyeshadow I use on the side of my nose. Okay, so now we have a little bit of that bronzy, peachy cheek glow. And that kind of concludes the face part of this class.
Ooh.
So, if you understood everything up until now, oh my god, the rest of the class is going to be a breeze.
Yes. You graduated skin class.
You graduated skin class. All right. Now for the eyes, we're going to start off with an eyeshadow base, and then we're going to do the eyebrows, and then we're going to do the rest of the eyeshadow. And it's actually going to go like kind of like boom, 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 okay? So eyeshadow base, I use the Soft Ochre Paint Pot from MAC, and I like to use it with the same concealer brush that we used earlier, the MAC 287 concealer brush, and I'm just grabbing a little bit from the pot. And close your eyes. And we're just going to apply it on the whole eyelid all the way up to the brow bone. And just make sure that it's not too chunky, everything's looking very smooth. Make sure you're not skipping over any skin on the eyelid or anything. And if you need to use your fingers to really smooth it out, why not? Just do it. Just don't mess up the rest of her face makeup. Be careful. And no skipping. So what I mean by skipping is like little ridges you might see on the lash line. So the way to help that is to swoop up like this so that your brush hairs can get in there. Or what's even easier is lift the skin up like this with your other hand, and you can always go in and get that brush to dig in there. And I'm just going to do a little smoothing with my fingertip. Okay. Eyeshadow base on. Now that it's on, we're going to do the brow zone. So first thing that I do when it comes to eyebrows is I get that eyebrow highlight out of the way. So I'm going to go in with the Tamana palette. Wow, I'm like literally out of it. This color here, which is fresh. I'm digging in with my MAC shader brush, and I'm just going to pack on that color right on the brow bone here. Don't worry about blending, it will blend itself out. Believe me, don't waste your time. Pack, 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 right along the brow bone. Make sure it's all there. And now we can do the brows. The reason why I did this first is because when you do the brows and then you put this color right up against the brow, sometimes the little dust from the eyeshadow gets on the eyebrow, and then you have to redo the eyebrow, and it looks all great. So we're not gonna waste our time with that.
We don't want 50 Shades of Grey here.
No 50 Shades of Grey. Alrighty. With the brows, I love using Anastasia Dip Brow, and I just use any basic angled brow brush. The one that I really love to use as far as a brow brush is the Anastasia angled brow brush here, and it comes with a spoolie at the other end, so I can actually blend and draw at the same time. And the color that I'm going to use on her is called Dark Brown. And then I like to set it with a little bit of brow powder. So you're going to see all those steps now. It's like its own class. I actually did a whole class on just eyebrows, and it took like an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah, to teach all the ways to do brows.
Girls are serious about their eyebrows. I still haven't gotten it right at all. It's different every time. Sometimes I have a good day, and sometimes it's just all bad.
I think we all have those days.
Yeah, huh?
And some days they just don't match, no matter what. Okay, I'm taking out the brow pomade Anastasia Dip Brow in dark brown. I put a little bit on the back of my hand here. And I'm going to use this angled brush to start drawing in the bottom edge of her brows first, and then I'm going to start stroking up towards the rest of the brows. So starting off with the bottom edge, I like to start off with the arch and then roll down to the tail. And then I like to just complete that whole tail. So what I'm doing here is I drew my bottom edge, and then I'm doing little flicky strokes to mimic brow growth and filling in that whole tail area. Now that that's out of the way, I can draw the bottom edge of the beginning half. And everyone has their way of doing brows. This is just one way that helps me, is just breaking it up into zones. So I have that bottom edge done there, and now I can do my little brow hair strokes and fill in up until those points. Little strokes, push it up. And another thing that I like to do is to keep the beginning brow hairs a little bit lighter than the body of the brow, which is like the arch in the tail. So it almost looks like an ombre brow, but it doesn't have to be with two different colors. You can absolutely do it with one color. Just go a little bit lighter with your stroking in the beginning here so it doesn't make your client look angry when it's like too dark. And now we'll do the same on the other side. Starting with the underneath the arch area, finish up the tail, get the little strokes in. And now we're going to draw that bottom edge right in here. And then we're going to do the rest of the little strokes for the rest of the brow. And make sure your hands go really light with your stroking on the beginning. And if you feel like it got too dark, no biggie. You have this spoolie at the other end, pick some up, and get it off. So you have some pretty cool brows going on there. I'm just gonna go a little darker up here so I can see some of that contrast. Okay, now another thing that I like to do on Christina is I like to lighten up the hairs in general just a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with the brow powder kit that I have, which is also, of course, on Saucy Beverly Hills, just like everything else. Bam, bam, it has every color. And I'm gonna go in with, I mean, you could use so many different brushes for this, but honestly, I have this free gift brush that I got like forever ago in a Lancome free gift. And it's all spread out and crazy because I've used the crap out of it, but I love it. I don't know. For powder, I love it. So I'm gonna go in with a color called Caramel. It's this nice, warm, light color. And I'm gonna use this to really lighten up the beginnings of her brows and to warm them up so that it can go with the warmth of her hair right now. So I'm just dusting it on the first half of her brow. Then I can go in and darken up the rest of it with a little bit of chocolate. The color called Chocolate, we're gonna use it right in through here and the tail. Body and tail, okay? So now that's pretty much all I do with brows, couple of main steps and you're done. So now we're ready for the actual shadow and the liner and all that good stuff. That's actually gonna go pretty quickly, maybe a little bit on the shocked side, but it's gonna be good. So, going into I have a bunch of MAC palettes, and I've made them based on, you know, just some favorites that I've collected over the years and stuff. And we're gonna use some of these colors this time. So I'm gonna go in first with a nice warm shade for her crease. I usually use Bengal from my palette, but if you don't have my palette, you can use MAC Texture, or I think, yeah, that's Texture. I love Texture, or Saddle. Texture or Saddle will be really good for the crease. And the reason why I like those kind of colors is because it is more on the caramel side, and it's not going to look crazy when you put it on. So even if you go a little bit darker than you, or heavier with your stroking than you originally planned, it's not going to look super dark on her eyes. So start soft and then build the intensity when you need to, instead of starting super dark and then spending all this time trying to blend it. It's so inefficient when it comes to time. So the brush I'm using right now is MAC 217, and I'm gonna go in with this color right here called Texture. It's a nice medium brown. And right in here. So we're digging it in right into the crease. And I'm flicking it outward a little bit here so we can start to create that sexy cat eye. So you want to elongate a little bit here, and you want to dip low in the beginning half of the brow. I mean the eyes towards the brow. Dip it low. and really dig it in here. Bring it down and flick it up. And mind you, I'm not really blending, the brush is a blending brush, so as you're applying it, it's looking like it's blending already. So you don't need to spend a lot of time with the blending steps. Do the same thing on the other side. Dig right in.
You don't happen to have tissue, do you?
Does anyone have tissue?
I'm getting cool. Actually, no, just already know.
I hate that.
I'd like to say I'm perfect, guys. It doesn't happen to me, but
Everyone has
last thing we knew, he's like, whoa. Gross.
Like, oh my god, Christina Milian. Her nose was running on camera. How dare she be human?
Turn up. Ooh, save the day.
Perfect.
And I'll totally do that off camera for a second. Right over here. Here, look.
Right,
I'll just bend
right in
over
the
here.
corner there. There you go.
I'll
think
fill
I
in
got
the
a frame in the meantime, if you can focus.
And we're back.
There we go. See, this is a live show.
It's live.
Live, not edited. So we're digging in. Okay? So now we start to shape up this awesome kind of flared out shape. Now we can start digging in a darker color so we can really get that shape to show and stand out. So at this point we switch to a little bit more of a tapered brush. I love this one from Morphe M506. And I'm going to use this to really dig in some color. I'm going to go in with a color called Embark from MAC. It's a really dark brown. And I'm going to go right in here to get this color nice and dark. Now the cool thing about this brush is if you don't press too hard with it, you get a nice sharp edge because it has that tapered end here. So I'm able to really chisel in, almost like it's a cut crease, but not quite. You know, we're not going there. But we are using the techniques of a cut crease to create this nice dark layer of color right along where we already did her crease. So we're not really messing up. We're just going right along the bottom edge of the crease, and it's starting to look really edgy and cool. It does add a new dimension to the look.
It does.
So go right in here, start to chisel in a little bit of a cut crease action, but not exactly. Flare it out a little bit, bring it in a little bit. We don't want it to go too crazy, so I'm not trying to make it black or anything. That's why we used a dark brown to still keep it kind of neutral. Smooth it out with your fingers if you need to. I'm totally okay with using fingers. And now we have a little bit of that darkness going on. If you need to spread it out a little bit more, you absolutely can. I do this whole back and forth thing just to make sure I'm not going off balance at all. So I do go back and forth. It's totally okay to go back and forth until you really have this perfect balance. Okay. Now that that's done, we're going to put a beautiful color across her lid. The color that I'm choosing for her is called, it's a glittery color. Okay.
Something with glitter.
I think it's something with, yeah, it's just something with glitter. All that glitters? I think it's all that glitters.
I think I have
It is all that glitters.
All that glitters. We were close.
All that glitters.
That's right.
That's going on your eyelid. So going back to that flat shader brush from MAC, the same flat brush, we're going to dip right into all that glitters. And we're going to do my press and slide method, which is something I taught a little while ago, and I keep teaching in all my classes, the press and slide. So what that is close your eyes. We're going to lift up the skin a little bit. We're going to press this on and slide it down.
Ooh, that's new.
And what that does is it lets the color really stick on your eye so that it's not just dusted on, it's not just patted on. You're actually making it stick and you get that long-lasting effect from it. So the press and slide is definitely good. And then if you need a sharper cut crease, just cover it right up. And now you have this awesome sharp cut crease action over there. Go ahead and open your eyes. And it ends up really popping a lot better. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Go ahead and close. We're going to do the press and slide all the way across. And I'm just going to dig in here and get a little bit of a sharper cut crease action. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to really brighten up her tear duct, and then we're going to start giving her some under eye color. I'm going to go in actually with the same exact brush, and we're going to touch into rice paper.
Ooh.
Love it.
Real white, like rice paper? Rice
No.
paper. Okay, I was going to say, I'm like, rice paper?
Like, what?
See? I don't even... Is there such thing as rice paper?
Honestly, I just know the
cheese
eyeshadow
paper.
rice paper from MAC, and we're just going to use it right into that tear duct area. And what that does is it gives her that nice tear duct glow. Brightens up and looks very fresh on camera, and it adds that final touch that, to me, without it, would look kind of unfinished. So I'm just sticking it right on the tear duct zone. Go ahead and look up all the way. We're going to do a little bit on the bottom as well. There we go. Okay, so now we have that like, ooh, that bright bam light right in that center, and that gives her eyes this very fierce look, but at the same time very fresh look. Now we can start working on eyeliner, believe it or not. That's pretty much it for the eyeshadows.
Ooh.
So we're going in with my favorite nude pencil. This is NARS Rue Bonaparte, and it is pretty much their only nude eye pencil from their larger than life eyeliners. And I'm just going to wipe it off on my hand first. We're going to give it a little bit of a twist, and go ahead and look up to the ceiling. I'm going to draw in her waterline, and I'm going to connect it to her tear duct. Waterline, and connect it to the tear duct. Just like that. Okay.
Make your eyes bigger, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Opens up the eyes, makes it look very, a little bit more rounded rather than elongated, but what we're about to do is add that wing, so it's going to elongate it again. But for those of you who are asking, how do you make your eyes look bigger? This is how. You start off with the nude on the waterline, and then you go crazy with adding a little bit of that dark underneath it, and that creates a new eye shape for you, basically. Look up again. I'm just going to brighten up this tear duct zone a little bit more. All right. Now we are going to start adding color. And the brush that we're going to use is MAC 212. And we're going to go in with Embark, that same chocolatey eyeshadow color. And go ahead and look up all the way. We're going to start shading in a little bit of this right underneath the nude. So we're creating a new edge for her eyeliner, which is making it look nice and big. And it starts that whole cat eye effect. So we're just digging it right in. And now, as you get closer to the inside tear duct, you're going to go below. So you're going to start inching downward with your brush. Like this. Okay? So you can see that it's kind of going a little bit downward.
Magic.
Gonna go under. And inch it downward. All right. So now we can really see that shape coming along, and now that we did this step, we can go nuts with black, we could go nuts with the white on the inside. There's a lot of different things that you can add to this to make it stronger, but always start off with a good medium tone so that you're not like overwhelming yourself having to figure out a whole new look out of nowhere. You start to see your imagination come to life as you're doing each step. So don't jump into, I'm gonna go ahead and use black. Like, you absolutely can if you feel comfortable, but I love starting off with brown and then adding black if I need to. So I'm sharpening this up, sharpening that up, making it a little bit thicker and all that good stuff. And now I'm going to use the pencil brush. This is the Sigma pencil brush. And I'm dipping into a color called Mulch, which is kind of like a bronzy brown. And go ahead and look up all the way. I'm going to use that right underneath this dark brown so that it looks like it's fading out. And it's just kind of giving a very smooth effect, so it's not like a sudden line out of nowhere. It's looking a little bit more faded, if you can tell. And that also helps to make the eyes look bigger, because strong, sharp lines make them look smaller. Blended lines make them look more open and bigger again. Now I can go in, okay, now I have to whip out my Tomato palette again, because there is no black that's better than my black. Sorry. So the Noir from Anastasia Beverly Hills Tomato palette. Tomato palette's not available anywhere anymore. Sorry guys. You're going to have to get the individuals, which thankfully Anastasia has on her website. You can make your own palettes. So Noir is the one from the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, which I recommend. It took us a long time to create it. And they did such a good job making it and following exactly what I've always wanted in the black color, and that is really just to make it look like eyeliner. I wanted a black eyeshadow to look like eyeliner when I apply it like eyeliner. So that's why we don't even have to use eyeliner on Christina here. We can just go right into the black eyeshadow just on that outer part and get that depth without having to use pencil. I'm going to do the same on the other side, sharpening up that outer edge and letting it blend into the rest. All right. So now that that's done, we're ready to do her eyeliner on the top. And all we really need for that is a good liquid liner or a gel liner or whatever you like to use. I'm going to use a liquid this time. And what I'm going to use is a fine line from LA Girl Cosmetics. So it just kind of looks like this. Very fine pen. I love it. Very black and very clean. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm just going to lift up her skin a little bit so I can get really close to her lash line. And I'm going to start really close to the lash line. And if I need to build, I absolutely can. And just do little sections at a time. Don't freak yourself out about eyeliner, especially if you are still in the stage where you feel like you need a little bit more practice. Practice absolutely makes perfect. It takes forever to master eyeliner, so don't be hard on yourselves. Just practice as much as you can. And break it down into little sections. Try not to think of it as a whole. Break it down into sections, get those sections done, and then when you're done with those sections, then you can think of it as a whole, as long as it's like looking like it's floating. Looking good. And now I'm going to create a little bit of a wing here. Okay, looking good. And lastly, I want to create a little bit of a wing on that inner corner. So I'm going to have her look up. And I'm just going to drag this little line down. And connect it right in there. And that's going to give her a little bit of that sharper little edge there. So that's all that was, is I used the tip of this and I just dragged it down a little bit. We're going to do the same on the other side. Work from one end and kind of inch your way to another end. And as you can see, I'm using my liquid liner flatly like this. I'm not going in like this. I'm using it flat so that the actual pen can do the work for me. Lift it and do section by section. And then make sure your wing is not too thick. So do not press hard when you're using a liquid liner or a brush. Do not press hard when you're doing your wing. Open. Very pretty. And lastly, we're going to do that little tip thingy. Go ahead and look up. All right. Cool. There we go. So now we have that beautiful cat eye. All it's missing is lashes and lips. Ooh. So let's get started on the lashes. First things first, you got to curl them, apply some mascara on them, and that preps them to carry on the falsies. So look down. Mm-hmm. Is this okay right here?
Yes.
Is this okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, of course, my favorite mascara, Hypnos Waterproof Drama, is my all-time favorite mascara. Look up all the way. It gives such a beautiful volumized effect. And it, of course, lengthens and curls and does all those lovely tricks. But I just love thick lashes, so I kind of go crazy. And I've tried literally every mascara out there, and nothing compares, in my opinion. I mean, I just love it. Do a nice light coat on the bottom. We're also going to apply individual falsies on the bottom so you guys can see what I do to achieve that look. And now we can do the top. Look down. Lift up the skin and really dig in. When they need to blink, let them blink, back off. Get back in and get those inner corners. Okay, same on the other side. And there we go. Look down again real quick. All right, perfect. Now for the falsies, we're going to use, I'm gonna get back in the frame. We're gonna use our Dell Wispy falsies for the top, and we're gonna use individual single hair ones for the bottom. And we can trim the single hair ones so that they're not looking like, you know, doll lashes on the bottom to make them look a little bit more natural looking. We're gonna trim them just a little bit. But first we're gonna do the top and then I'll show you the bottom. So with the top, make sure that they are long enough to fit the width of your client's eyes. So before we even add any glue on them, I'm gonna take them out and measure them to her size, just to make sure everything's looking, you know, like it measures well, the right size and all that.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when it's too long and it's like pinching into the front of your eye.
Yeah, oh my God.
Ow.
So bad. You know, I have lash extensions on and it saved my life completely from having to deal with this. Like, I'm allergic to lash glue.
Oh, you are?
So I had to switch to House of Lashes lash glue, which is latex free.
Ah.
And so I use that on my clients now too, because I'm like, I don't want to risk like anyone being allergic or whatever. So I use that on my clients, and I used to use it on myself, but even then I would still get really, really sensitive in here. So I started doing lash extensions because that lash glue doesn't touch your skin or anything. So thank God I can wake up looking like I'm wearing makeup because, right? It's like so much better this way.
Awesome. I don't have mine on today.
Do you get them done ever?
Yes, I do. I get
do?
them. Yeah, on occasion, I definitely do.
Okay.
I just need some time
That looks good, right?
to relax. I actually love how I could just like lay there.
Oh, right?
I always fall asleep, even if it's for like 10 minutes.
I think one time I fell asleep. I end up talking the whole time. So like the time goes so fast. My lash extension specialist is actually here today with me, with my team. And she travels from Sacramento to come to LA and do her clients here because she got a little bit famous here.
Hey.
So her name is Sydney Lee. If you want to find her on Instagram, it is Sydney, S-I-D, N-E-Y, Sydney, and then L-E. And you can find her there if you need to make an appointment. She travels to LA, or you can find her in Sacramento. Okay, so we're putting on some House of Lashes glue. I've applied a little bit on the edge of this band here. We're gonna wait for it to get a little bit sticky, and we're just gonna pop it right on. Sometimes if they're not curly enough, like these ones are good, but sometimes if the lashes aren't curly enough, I go ahead and curl them first and then apply them.
Excuse me.
Nope, I'm gonna look down. Alrighty. Is that feeling okay?
Yes.
We'll adjust them in a second once it gets really, really sticky. In the meantime, I'll pop those other ones on and then we can adjust a little bit.
Perfection.
Okay.
Let's see, what else are they saying out there? Let's read. Well, I don't have glue in one.
Well,
hand.
look down again real quick, actually. All right.
Some good questions. Do you do hair too?
I do.
Oh. Okay, so Mary wants to know how to untangle hair after teasing.
Oh God! Everyone asks me that. It's like a challenge. Okay, untangling hair after it has a crazy tease to it. You don't want to brush it out too hard because you are going to risk breakage. So the best, most safest thing to do is if it's not brushing out very easily, don't push it. Just get in the shower and use conditioner and slip it out. That's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, if you're looking for a good brush, Layla Milani has a really good brush. It's LaylaMilaniHair.com, I believe. Go to Layla Milani's Instagram. She has her link and everything. She has this thing called the Miracle Brush. It's like a Tiffany blue color. Ooh. It detangles so good. Like, I tease the crap out of my hair every day to make it look big. And of course, I'm wearing my extensions. And I have to use that brush to detangle.
I like the wet brush too. It's a good one.
What's that?
The wet brush is like, I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't feel like you're tearing your hair out. And it's soft. I could even use it on my daughter, and that's why I got it at first, because her hair's really tight curls. And so to like wash her hair and then brush it out, I found that one, well, someone suggested it to me. Thank you, Maro.
Nice.
Exactly, and it worked.
Look down again. I just want to make sure this is down. Okay. And close. Or actually, yeah, look down. Match center to center. Outer corner, inner corner. I never heard of that. I have to check it out.
Yeah. Get in the shower, put some conditioner in your hair. Brush it out.
All right. So while that dries, I'm going to get some of those bottom lashes on her.
Cool. Someone else asked a question they really need an answer.
Oh, okay.
Jasmine. Oh no, this is a different one. I lost it already.
Dang.
Oh, you're about to go for the lower lash line for the liner. See, she's doing. Well, no, you already did the liner.
I did. Yeah. When was it? Mm-hmm. When do you start going down?
Okay, if your client has dry or chapped lips, what product do you recommend?
Oh man. Okay.
Classic.
That is like the worst
Chapstick.
thing ever when the lips are so dry that it's like cracking. I have this lip balm in my kit from Sugar Rose Fresh. I got it for free at Sephora. It's called Sugar Rose Tinted Lip Treatment. And it's just like this little chapstick type of deal. It's very soft. So I use that. Usually if someone's lips are really chapped, like Christina always like has a little something on to make sure it doesn't get too dry. But sometimes if I notice that right off the bat, I'll have them wear a little bit of that lip balm first. And then by the time I'm done with the rest of her face and by the time I get to the lips, it's usually like kind of ready to have some stuff on it. Another thing is you can always make your own scrub at home before you get started on your makeup regimen using brown sugar and honey. It's sticky and it's grainy and it's edible, so you just kind of scrub, then you can get lick it off, and then get it nice and smooth. All right, so these are my single shorts. There we go, single short blacks.
Single shorts.
And we're going to pop some of these on her bottom lash line. And look up to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I love how it just sticks to your like tweezers.
That's so weird, isn't it?
It just comes right off. I don't like this part, but it ends up looking so pretty. I just suck it up. All right. One. On. Thank you, God.
Mission accomplished.
I mean, really, this step can take like many, many minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I put some glue on the back of my hand and I'm just dipping it in so that I'm not getting the glue all over the place. Got the second one on. And I'm going to do the third one. I think we'll be good with that. And then we're going to trim them, obviously. They're like way too long, so I'm going to trim them. All right. We're going to do the same on the other side. I was totally about to jinx myself right now and say these are going really well, but watch it not go well now.
Don't say that.
Oh, okay. And third one. Okay. Now that those are on and looking kind of cool and spiky, we do need to make them look a little bit more believable, so we're going to trim them.
These things, they're real.
Yeah. These are my safety scissors, so you're not cutting any skin. We're very safe. They're rounded. And the TSA at the airport never says anything about it, so I'm good. And I'm just going to be very careful and just trim them right across so we can just get a little bit of a spikeage, but nothing too insane looking. Maybe a little bit more. Already same on the other side. All right, cool. So now that that's on, we're now going to cover up a little bit of the glue, whatever couldn't get dried up all the way in time. We're going to cover that up with a little bit of dark eyeshadow. So I'm going to go back in with my little tiny brush. What brush are we going to use? I have this like little...
I'm back.
Bitty. This little thing, number 209 from MAC. It's a little bitty brush. And I'm going to use that with the chocolate eyeshadow from my palette. I'm going to mix it with noir so it becomes like a really, really dark brown. And we will cover up any of the undried glue with that. Just dot it on the glue. Okay, cool. Now for the top, we're going to use a liquid liner just to make sure everything's looking nice and covered for the top lash line. And then we're going to do lips, and then we're going to be done. Let me say bye. Close. So I'm going back with my fine line from LA Girl, and I'm just digging right in there to make sure that the glue is being covered nicely. Okay, that's done. And technically the glue does dry clear, but sometimes it takes a little longer for certain parts to dry. And the last thing I need is for her to run out, paparazzi taking a picture of her, and she has a blue dot on her eye because it didn't dry up all the way. So go straight to black. Okay, now for the lips. What I did in that little teaser video was I used Bittersweet lip liner, which is this nice dark brown. But I did a very nude lipstick with it, and then I blended it so it can look really, you know, sexy nude. So we're going to go in and just start lining her natural lip line with this nice dark brown color called Bittersweet from MAC. Right along her natural. I'm going to fill in the outer corners to give her a little bit of that ombre effect, nothing crazy. Okay, so lip liner is on. Now we're going to go with a really nice nude lipstick. I have my awesome lip palette here that I made from MAC, and it has like every color you'd ever need. So we're going to go in with this color. I have a lot of mixed tones in here too. Some of these are from NYX, NYX Cosmetics. Some of them are from Revlon, but I would say 99% of them are MAC. But there's a NYX color that I want to use on you right here called Spirit. It's a matte tone, and I'm just going to use that across your center. Smooth it out. You can overlap a little bit with the lip liner so that it actually blends. And then now that almost nothing is left on my brush, I'm going to use that to really blend the lip liner into the lipstick. So we're really like spreading it. Get the edges really seamless so it doesn't look like lip liner out of nowhere. There's a term for that, but I'm not going to use it. All right. So very nice soft nude, and I am going to add a little bit of Myth right in the center. Myth from MAC, it's another nude color, and it's really light, so I like to add that right in the center. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Everything's looking good like that. We are going to blend a little bit in here. Okay, now for a very, very nice gloss over everything. The gloss I'm going to use on her is called Oyster Girl. No, you know what? I want to try another one. There's another one that I just got recently that I love. Where is it? Okay, it's called Bared for You.
Bared for you.
Bared for You. It's a nice warm nude. So I'm going to put a good glob of it on my hand here.
Nice.
And I'm going to put that whole glob on the lips. I do not want the lips looking dry. I love a whole, like a juicy, glossy look. So I take this whole glob on my brush. And by the way, guys, this lip brush is actually a Michael's Arts and Crafts brush.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I just love it for the lips. It's like the perfect size and everything. If you guys want to know what it is Low Cornell Natural Hair number 270-1/4. Yeah, whatever.
Off to Michael's Big O.
Whatever that means.
Craft store.
And now every Michael is going to be out of stock on that brush. They're like, okay, why? Okay, awesome. So now we have this beautiful, beautiful finished look. Just to reiterate what we did, we started off with base. We did the primer, we put the foundation on, we did the under eye concealer, we also added a little bit of orange to brighten it up. Then we went into the highlight and contour, and after that, we started setting each of the highlight and contour steps with its own corresponding color of powder. So we had 3 colors of powder. After that, we added more powder by going into the Anastasia contour kit, chiseling the crap out of the cheekbones, and really brightening up the center core of the face to make it glow. Then we did the Real Face Glow, which is from Galactic, and we added that to give her that JLo glow, kind of a, you know, shiny look a little bit, but not too shiny, just on the areas that had the peak. After that, we added a little bit of blush, and we went straight for the eyes. So before we did the eyes, we had to do the brows. Everything was perfect on the brows before we started doing the eyes. And the eye step you just saw a few minutes ago, it went really quickly. Very soft, basic colors on the eyes. And the biggest punch of this look was really about the eyeliner. So having that sexy cat eyeliner on the top and having that gap right on the bottom edge made it look so exotic and so beautiful. And it's actually not so hard, as you guys saw, when you break everything down into very easy to do steps. And of course, obviously, I'm not saying it's going to be easy the first time. If you've never done anything like this before, you're going to have to practice at it. You're going to get better. Every time you try it, you're going to get better. Every time I did it, I got better. It took me a while to get this down. But now I can do it with my eyes closed. And you can do it too. Absolutely. Watch this class over and over again and really get on it. And what I want you to do is I want you to recreate this look. And I want you to tag Christina and I want you to tag me on Instagram so we can see it. Yeah. And the ones that I like the best, I will definitely repost some of the ones that I thought were the best. So we're going to go ahead and look at those, and Christina and I can decide which ones are going to be featured on my page so I can shout some of you guys out as a huge thank you for trusting our expertise and learning from our class today. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So thank you guys for watching. This has been really fun.
Yeah, this has been fun. I love
it. And now you're ready for your event.
Yes, and change my clothes, go to my event, and to have a really great night.
Cool. So before I let you go, let's get a close-up of your face. Maybe you can lean in a little bit towards the camera and do a side-to-side profile, whatever. This is where you take your pictures. Note everything that went wherever it went. Now you know everything it took us to get from point A to point B. She still looked phenomenal before, and now she looks red carpet ready. And that's just, you know, an hour of makeup, whatever. But you can totally do this.
Yes.
Oh, I
love it too. I love it too. They have to check out my new single, Rebel, you guys. It's on iTunes.
And you guys heard it a little bit in the promo.
Yes,
our little video promo. It's so stuck in my head. Okay, before I even heard the whole single, when I saw the promo, I was like, oh my god,
Ooh.
it's stuck in my head. I love it. So check it out. You're going to have the link up on your Instagram, right?
Yep.
So they can just go right into iTunes and hear it and purchase it. It's Awesome. I love, love, love it.
Thank you.
Good luck to your new album.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for that. I'm going to let you go to your events, and I'm going to stick around and answer some of your questions from the Q&A, and then we will say bye later.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Carmen, hi. How are you? Thank you for coming. Carmen came, Christina's momager. All right. So, I don't know what I did with my phone. Somebody, can you find me my phone so I can answer questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. It was in my pocket. All right, guys. It is 7:40. So we have about 10 minutes or so to answer some questions. I'm going to try to extend it to 8 o'clock if I can, so I can make sure I get more of your questions. And I know this was a really long class, and there was a lot to teach, and I tried my best to just get it done. But you know what? Your questions also are very important, so I want to make sure I can answer those. So, people love you, Christina. Obviously, you know that. Please tell me the best primer for pores. Okay. My favorite primer for pores would be, I still use the MAC one all over the face, but there is this specific primer from Benefit called the Porefessional product. It's in a tube and it's quite thick, and you use it just over the areas that you have a little extra pores going on, and it fills it in very nicely and creates a little bit more of a flawless canvas for you to then apply makeup over it. So I would use it with my fingertips and really press it in and see if that helps you. Let's see any other questions. Do you recommend to put mascara on the falsies in order to join them to the real ones? Why not? I love mascara and I love a nice thick lash. Obviously, you can see my lash. They're very thick. Of course, this is just my extensions. I'm not wearing mascara on my top lashes, but I am on the bottom. And when it comes to mascara over falsies, you just want to be careful that it ends up not looking too much like spider lashes. So I would give it a nice thin coat, but I always put mascara before I put on falsies. I put the mascara on to give the lashes enough strength so that when you put the falsies over it, it doesn't just fall down and limp over. You're going to give it enough strength to hold the falsies up. So curl your lashes first, put on mascara, put on your falsies, and absolutely, if you want to put one final coat of mascara over it to join them two together, by all means, go for it. So, how can we prevent crackling in the cracking of the laugh lines around the nose or around the mouth and any of that stuff? I know that's a big problem. Well, unfortunately, when we're smiling and laughing and making our facial expressions, the skin is going to fold. And there's really nothing in the market out there that I found that's really going to completely diminish that problem. One thing that I do is to use, longer lasting foundations, a little bit drier, not too oily, not too wet, because those tend to slip around a lot and create more of those creases. So when you're using maybe MAC Pro Longwear Foundation, for example, it dries a little bit quicker, so it sets a little bit better. But I am a laugher. I laugh at everything. I smile like all the time. So for me, I still get those lines. So what I do is with the back of my thumb, I just kind of press it back in every once in a while when I'm out on an event. Maybe after a couple hours or an hour or whatever, I just kind of go in like this just to make sure that everything's setting back in. Another thing you could do is use a clean tissue, and just kind of set it in, or use an oil blotting sheet to remove the oils that are making your makeup kind of slide around. So that's something that has helped me, and hopefully it'll help you as well. Okay, what makeup are you wearing and how do you apply the Kevyn Aucoin foundation? I get the question a lot, actually. Kevyn Aucoin foundation is meant to be a little bit diluted. So the way that they like to sell it and tell you to use it is to, it's a very concentrated pot. The Kevyn Aucoin foundation, I'm assuming you're talking about the Sensual Skin Enhancer, which is the full coverage in the pot foundation that you have to unscrew and open. Those are very full coverage. I'm talking like you cannot see a mole behind it. And so when you're using that, to make it blend a little bit smoother and better is to dilute it with a little bit of lotion, face cream, primer, whatever you can use to get it to slip a little bit better. Use a little bit of that and mix it with the foundation so you can get a smoother blend. Now, you guys know me. I'm a glam makeup artist. I love the glam look. I like full coverage everything. I like everything to be hidden behind this lovely makeup mask. And so for me, when I do it on myself, I like to use it straight out of the pot. I do not dilute it with anything. And the brush that I use is the same makeup foundation brush that we used in this class, the Duo Fiber one, and I just kind of spread it out, and it works well for me. I actually don't even need a concealer when I wear that foundation, and I only wear it for like really crazy photo shoots or like for the camera like this. I'm not using it today. Today I have on the Cinema Secrets one. The palettes that I used on Christina is what I used on myself earlier today. But I would use the Kevin Aucoin one the same exact way with the same brushes and just kind of spread it out a little bit more. It does take a little bit longer to blend it out because it is so thick, but you'll get it. It's not too hard. So that's what I'm wearing, and that's how I wear it. And of course I do have on the Anastasia Contour Kit powders that I use to brighten up my highlight and darken up my contour and all that stuff. So basically exactly what I did on Christina is kind of what I did on myself, but I did go a little crazier with my contour because I just like it like that. So that's all, folks. Oh, and my eyes, I just used the Tamana palette because I have that at home. Chocolate and Bengal in the crease, and I used Fresh on the lid, and I did some chocolate and noir on the bottom and kept it pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And that's pretty much it. Let's answer a few more questions. Let's see here. Okay, someone has a problem with foundation going darker. So what's happening is when you put on foundation, I'm sure a lot of you have that problem at home too, is when you put on a foundation, it's looking nice and bright and everything, and then after an hour or two, it starts to oxidize and it starts to look darker and darker. What I normally would recommend in that case, that's usually because the oils of the skin start to mix with the foundation, and of course with your own oxidizing situation that's going on when you're out. It does get a little bit darker. It's almost like paint. Paint dries a little bit darker than what it looks like when you freshly put it on. So what I would normally recommend in that case is try to match yourself. If you have a problem with this with lots of different brands, I mean, first of all, I would try different brands and see if there's any brand out there that may not oxidize as much with you, and that's all your own chemistry. It's not like one brand oxidizes a lot and another doesn't. It's your own skin chemistry. So you have to kind of go out there and try different ones. And if you don't find one that works perfectly, try to just match yourself to a couple shades lighter. And then make sure that before you go out, you're putting on your foundation about an hour or two before you even go out, so that you're not looking like a ghost when you're out and about and then looking normal. You can go out looking normal right in the beginning, but that means you have to have your foundation on for a little bit, a little while. So you can let it oxidize, let it set, and look normal before you leave. Another thing that I do is I do a lot of highlight and contour. So even if my foundation's oxidizing, I put on a lot of highlight on the center zones of my face, so I still look very bright in my center zones. And then on the outer portions, I have these like dark contour zones. So I have a lot going on my face anyway. So even if my face does oxidize, it's not gonna hinder the whole look too much. So try a lot of that too. Do you still do the same foundation and contouring steps for mature skin? Not exactly, and it kind of depends on who you're working with as far as it goes when it comes to mature skin. Sometimes I have clients that are mature, but they are glam clients. So yeah, I do the same thing for them too. But sometimes you have a mature skin client that's not so glamorous and she wants to just look her, just a little bit more polished, but she doesn't want to look like a whole other person. Maybe a mother of the bride just wants to look sophisticated and nice. And so in that case, I do not do all the same steps. And if they're dry and have wrinkles or any of that stuff, you absolutely cannot be using all the powder that I used on Christina Milian today. I was able to layer a lot of powder on her, and I'm able to layer a lot of powder on myself. But when you're working with someone with a lot of wrinkles or extreme dryness, your ratio should be more cream stuff and less powder stuff. So go a little heavier with the foundation and go a little bit lighter with the powder. Of course, it's not going to last as long throughout the day because you powder is what keeps makeup to last all day. But when you're dusting a little bit on it, it's okay as long as it's set a little bit, and you should be okay. So remember, older, mature clients, a little bit more on the foundation and a little bit less on the powder. But everyone else, I do more powder. Thank you for the love, guys. I love seeing your comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Besides the MAC Studio Fix powder, is there any other setting powder that you recommend? Honestly, I've tried so many. And if you really want the one that's going to look the best in your photos when you're using techniques that I'm doing, like the ones I taught you today, MAC Studio Fix is the only one that can do it for me. But I have tried some contour kits and setting powder kits from other brands such as Morphe brushes, and they have this palette that has a few different colors, and it does have good pigment to it. And so some of my students, if they don't have enough powders to work with, we've used those Morphe brushes palettes, and that has worked just fine. But again, I still love the Studio Fix powders the most out of every other brand I've tried. But again, Morphe brushes and those kits that have like 6, 7 powders, whatever, 6 to 8 powders, those ones will work okay too, as long as there's enough beige tones in between the darks and lights. How do you prevent the powdery look for oily skin? I struggle with this. When you have oily skin and you put on a lot of powder and then it ends up looking all dry and stuff, you can absolutely use a powder shimmer. Like I used on Christina Milian today, I used the Galactic Face Glow in bronze. They also carry a color called Natural, which is lighter. So one of those two is bound to be your color. And what you would do is after you're done with all the powder steps, you can use a little bit of that so that your skin looks like skin again and it doesn't look so dry. And that's exactly what we did today in class. So you saw how it kind of transformed the skin, but it was just one little step. So for someone who has oily skin that doesn't want to look oily, you only want to put on that shine stuff just on top of their cheekbones, but not in their T-zone, because then it's going to look like they have oily skin again. So be a little careful. Don't go too happy with those face glow products, but that's what I would use instead of having that full powdery face. If you don't want it to look so dry, you can add a little bit of that shimmer. And then what else?